Hello, good morning students. You might have completed the homework given to you nicely, and I have not received any query. That means you did well. Now we come to the chapter 2, that is the sexual reproduction in flowering plant. In this chapter we shall study the morphology, structure and the processes of sexual reproduction in flowering plants, that is the angiosperms. Flowers are object of aesthetic, ornamental, social, religious and cultural value. They have always been used as a symbol for conveying important human feelings such as love, affection, happiness, grief, mourning, etc. You might have given flower to your friend. You have different type of flowers in your garden. You love it. Seeing the flowers, we feel pleasure. So these are the things we get from these flowers. There is a typical structure for a plant, a flower. Flower consists of mainly two parts. One is the accessory and there is the reproductive part. The accessory part includes the sepals, petals, and reproductive parts consist of carpels and stamens. Each flower is attached to the axis with the help of one stalk. The details of such flowers we already have studied in earlier classes, so we need not to repeat all those. In class 10th, 11th already we have finished. If you have got any query, please send it and I'll make that one clear. Now we come to the different processes. Pre-fertilization, that is structure and events. So first of all, the stamens. Stamens are, we know, the male reproductive part. There are two parts of the typical stamen: the long and slender stalk called the filament, by which it is attached with the thalamus, and the terminal, generally bilobed structure called the anther, which of varied shape. You might have noticed in different flowers the anthers are of different shapes and sizes. The proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or the petal of the flower. In some cases where it is a epipetalous, the filament is attached with the petals, or perianth in some of the monocot families. A typical angiosperm anther is bilobed. That means it consists of the two lobes, which is externally seen well, with each lobe having two theca, that is, they are dithecous. The anther is a four-sided tetragonal structure consisting of four microsporangia located at each corner, two in each lobe. If you look at that anther now, so very simply you can locate the four corners, and each corner represents one microsporangium. and thus one lobe consists of the 2 microsporangia, and total 2 lobes, 4 microsporangia. You can well see it in the figure in the next slide, the cross section of the anther. The microsporangia develop further and become pollen sacs. If you see, it is the cross section of a anther lobe, within which we can locate the 4 microsporangia, and one complete stamen is shown in the slide. Structure of microsporangia. It appears almost circular in outline, generally surrounded by 4 wall layers. Means there are the 4 layers of the cells which forms its wall. These are epidermis, inner to that endothecium, then middle layers, and the last one is tapetum. Sometimes it may be asked for 1 mark question, okay, name the different wall layers of microsporangium, or which one is the outermost or which one is the innermost layer of the wall of microsporangium. The outer 3 layers perform the function of protection and help in dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. That means कि एपिडर्मिस और एंडोथीसियम और जो मिडिल लेयर्स होती हैं वो क्या करती हैं, ये स्प्लिट करती हैं. डेहिसेंस क्या होता है? एक्चुअली स्प्लिटिंग causes the release of pollen grains. This is the dehiscence. Now the innermost wall layer, that is the tapetum, nourishes the developing pollen grains. Cells of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than 1 nuclei. Do you know how this double nucleus or more nuclear condition created? You may recall the karyokinesis and cytokinesis. At the young stage of anther, a group of compactly arranged homogeneous cells called the sporogenous tissue or sporogenous mass occupies the center of each microsporangium. Now you can well locate in the slide, next slide, that is the outline of the cross section of anther lobe has been shown in A, and then B the different wall layers and the sporogenous mass or the sporogenous tissue, and the third one show the mature anther lobe, show the dehiscence, and pollens are ready to release from the anther lobe. You can compare this from your NCERT book or any other book which you have. You will get these figures in all books. If still any query, please send to me. Now we come to the next process, that is the microsporogenesis. Again it is asked in the examination for 3 marks question. One more thing, but practice the figures of this chapter because they are frequently asked in the examinations, like the wall layers of the microsporangium including the sporogenous mass, etc. Microsporogenesis. When anther develops, the cells of the sporogenous tissue undergo meiotic division to form microspore tetrads. You might be very clear with the mitotic and meiotic cell divisions. Meiosis means The chromosome number reduced to half, and number of daughter cells 4. So actually one microspore mother cell gives rise the 4 microspore tetrads after meiosis. Each cell of sporogenous tissue is now known as microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, PMC, which is diploid cell. What do you mean by diploid? Diploid means the chromosome number is 2n. The process of formation of microspores from a pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. So microsporogenesis क्या है? जब माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल मियोसिस के द्वारा माइक्रोस्पोर बनाती है. So the process of formation of microspore from a pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. These microspores initially arranged in a group of 4 cells. The microspore tetrad. Each cell is haploid. From front view, you will be able to see the 3 only. The 4th one is backside of these 3. Like the methane structure, you see that carbon attached with the 4 hydrogens. So they give the appearance of tetrahedral. Similarly here, all the 4 microspore forms initially remain attached in a tetrad form. At maturity, these microspores dissociates from each other, means they separate from each other. Sporogenous tissue, that is the cells, give rise the microspore tetrad, and microspore tetrad get separated and pollen grains are formed, which afterward develop into pollen grains. Now the pollen grain. Pollen grain has a prominent 2-layered wall. The hard outer layer is called the exine. The exine is made up of most resistant organic material, one of the most resistant organic material known as sporopollenin. So this sporopollenin is one of the most resistant organic material. It can withstand high temperature and strong acids and alkali. That means well protect the pollen grain from different adverse conditions. No enzyme can degrade sporopollenin normally. Exine has prominent apertures known as germ pores, where sporopollen is not present or very thin. It should be very clear that at certain locations the exine is not present or very thin. Such locations are known as germ pore. Is it clear? The inner wall of the pollen grain is called the intine. Intine is a thin and continuous layer made up of cellulose and pectin. The newly differentiated pollen grain has a central nucleus and dense cytoplasm. The cellular details you will see in next slides. It will become very clear. So initially there is the one central nucleus and cytoplasm is also dense. The protoplast mitotically divide into 2 unequal cells. Actually this microspore protoplast divides into two unequal cells. The bigger vegetative cell, which is rich in food reserve, and the smaller spindle shaped generative cells with dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. Before that, the nucleus present in the pollen grain divides mitotically and form two nuclei. So, one is enclosed in the generative cell and thus enclosed into the vegetative cell. The vegetative cell is the larger size and generative cell is the smaller size, and the cytoplasm in generative cells is dense. So, this whole structure, the whole pollen grain is now two cell stage pollen grain or microspore. Within this microspore there are the two cells. In majority of angiosperms, pollens are released in this two cell stage, and the remaining part of the development occurs in the path. Means in most of the almost 60% angiosperm species, they release their pollen grains, microspores, at this two cell stage. That means one vegetative and another is the generative cell. The remaining process, that is the further division in the generative cell, is completed in the path. The generative cell divides into two male gametes. Thus, pollen is shed to be in three cell stage in remaining plants. Again, इसको फिर से समझे, 60% plants they shed their pollen grains at two cell stage, that is the vegetative cell and generative cell, and the remaining plants, the nucleus of generative cell divides and form the two male gametes. So, at this stage, that is the 3 nucleate and 2 cell stage, pollen grains are shed in remaining plant species. Now, see, here it has been shown in this slide, the microspore mother cell divides by meiosis first to form two daughter cells. Again, these two daughter cells divided by meiosis second into 4 tetrads. Each tetrad gets separated. Now, each cell differentiate into the mature pollen grain. It is again tried to make it clear. See how the nucleus of the microspore mother cell divides meiotically to form 4 nuclei. Each nucleus gets surrounded by a little cytoplasm and cell wall to form the 4 tetrads of microspore. Each microspore, again the nucleus divided into 2 nuclei and the protoplasm is divided into 2 unequal halves, one larger, the vegetative cell, and there is the generative cell, and the generative cell further divide to form 2 male gametes. So, this is the development of the pollen grain. Now we come to the importance of pollen grains. They contain male gamete for sexual reproduction. These are nutrient rich and thus are taken as food supplements. Pollen can be stored for years in liquid nitrogen at -196 degrees Celsius to be used later in crop breeding programs. Pollen grains may cause allergies. Remember it, Parthenium or carrot grass, you might have heard, causes the severe allergy. In some of the countries, like the Great Britain, they collect the pollens in capsule form and use as a nutrient supplement. Now we come to the male reproductive unit. The pistil or gynoecium represents the female reproductive unit of a flower. The gynoecium may have single pistil called monocarpellary, more than two pistil called multicarpellary or polycarpellary. Sometimes carpels fuse together or pistils fuse together, such condition known as syncarpus. If pistils are free, the condition known as apocarpus. You may recall this concept from class 11. A pistil has got following three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Ovary, it is the basal swollen part of pistil that contains ovules and eggs. Inside the ovary, there is a compartment called ovarian cavity or locule separated by septum, if present. Placenta is the tissue in ovarian cavity from where ovule or megasporangium arise. Style is an elongated slender part beneath the stigma but connect the stigma with ovary. It holds the stigma to receive the pollen grains. It is through the style that pollen tube grows and reaches the ovule. So this is the path for the propagation of pollen tube during fertilization. Stigma receives the pollen grains. It has sticky surface and pollen grains get stuck to it during fertilization. Sometimes stigma may be feathery in some of the plant species. Now, structure of megasporangium, which is commonly known as ovule. The ovule is stalked and is attached to the placenta by means of a stalk called funicle. The junction between an ovule and a funicle is called hilum. Sometimes funicle extend beyond the hilum to form a ridge called raphe. The ovule is surrounded by one or two protective multicellular integuments. Integument means it's a kind of covering. Integument encircles the ovule entirely except at the tip, resulting in a small opening called micropyle. The basal part of an ovule opposite to micropyle is called chalaza. Actually, there are the different type of ovules on the basis of their position of micropyle, raphe and that chalaza. So we are talking to normal typical type of ovule, where chalaza, ovule and that raphe, they come in a straight line. The cells with high or abundant reserve food material enclosed within integument is called nucellus. Means integument encloses a mass of cells which are very rich in nutrients called nucellus. The female gametophyte located within the nucellus is called an embryo sac. You may see the typical structure of a ovule. Here you may locate, this is the typical anatropous ovule, orthotropous, campylotropous. These are the different categories of the ovules which you may get from any reference book. Now next process, megasporogenesis, which will you study in the next class. So go through this and find out any difficulty, please send to me. Homework will be sent very soon.